Thank you very much, and well, good afternoon. I think now it's 12 sharp. My name is Mirey, and I would like to start first because I've been asked a couple of times where I'm from. I'm Lebanese, and I would really, really like to remove my UN hat, wear my national hat, and convey to the people of Pakistan and the government of Pakistan the appreciation for taking on the huge responsibility of brokering the negotiations on truce and peace. Now, wearing my UN hat back again, I will try to be as short as possible. So, we were asked to really reflect in our keynote speeches around the whole issue of cities, but also with, related to the speed of urbanization in developing countries, and whether there's a possibility for cities to be smart in that context of rapid urbanization. Can we go to the next slide, please? So I will start with maybe a couple of reflections and data points that are global, but that are also very relevant for Pakistan's context. First is that everywhere around the world, urban growth is accelerating. And for us, from our point of view, that is an opportunity, because we know that 50% of the built environment has not yet been constructed. So whether it's for the private sector, whether it's for governments, whether it's for local municipalities, there is an opportunity of leapfrogging there. Second is that local impacts, it's been repeated and said multiple times, that climate impacts are local and unequal. There is an opportunity for addressing inequity and injustice in that process of building and developing new urban centers, and of nurturing local and indigenous solutions, as has been mentioned a couple of times as well. And lastly, I really need to bring I don't know that I need to bring the attention of any Pakistani to the fact that heat is the deadliest climate risk. World Environment Day on June 5th is going to be dedicated to climate change for the first time in 14 years. One of our themes is Beat the Heat, and we have 50 cities around the world that will be stress testing how they cope with 50 degrees. Some of them are doing a simulation because 50 degrees will never happen. Extreme heat in Glasgow, for example, is triggered at 28 degrees. In Pakistan, we have the cities of Turbat, Lahore, and Karachi that have come forward to join that exercise. And when you hear the mayor of Turbat talk about extreme heat, about the real feel of 50 degrees on your skin, on your breath, on the silence that grabs the city because everything stops looking for shade, including animals. You don't hear an insect. That is the real feel and the reality and the lived experience of extreme heat. And this is one of the deadliest climate impacts. It kills around 500,000 people around the world. And we estimate that this is an underestimate because not a lot of deaths or work breaks are reported, for example, as being related to extreme heat. It's strokes, it's kidney failure, it's heart failure, but in many cases they are correlated and caused by extreme heat conditions. Can we go to the last slide, please? Last one. Next one. Thank you very much. No, I'm joking. This is not the end of my intervention, but I'm dropping my slides here to refocus maybe on a couple of messages that I would like to convey. And that you will find, I think, with Dawn Media putting up the slides on the conference website. First, as we've heard from the Minister of Environment of Lahore, cities are where action happens, and this is where they come together. The artificial divide that we heard about adaptation and mitigation, but also about pollution, whether it's waste or air pollution or nature. Cities is where those silos break, where action needs to happen together and where there's the possibility for taking holistic approaches. So it's a challenge for us as technical people on climate to start addressing those things holistically. And I think we see this materialize really in building codes. You don't want to have a building code for floods, another one for energy efficiency, another one for thermal comfort, another one for fire safety, another one for electrical compliance. You want to have a single building code. So here there are opportunities that cities are challenging us with. The second thing is that there's a huge opportunity to leapfrog, and to leapfrog not only through south-south and north-south exchanges, but also through innovation, creativity, and indigenous solutions. The challenge here is that there's an opportunity to leapfrog, but we're challenged by speed. And that speed is correlated to population increase, to population migration in urban centers, and also the speed at which urban settlements are being developed. So we need to nurture those solutions that are applicable, but we also need to be cognizant of the fact that we might fail, that we might have to retrofit, and that we might have to adjust. So that flexibility in approaches is really key. And this is where that tension of innovation versus scale also hits the finance side of things. For those of you who were yesterday at the finance session, you know, there's quite a bit of challenges. You need to design the projects, you need to prove attribution, you need to have strong KPIs, you need to go through due diligence, and during that time, things are happening on the ground. And whatever time we are wasting on the perfect design is an opportunity that we are missing on the imperfect but incremental improvement. Second is the political economy, and here you'll allow me to be a little bit irreverent or maybe provocative. What we've done a state of finance for nature-based solutions in cities report. And what we see is that very oftentimes, again, it's not the lack of funding, but it's the accessibility of funding. And in the context of urban settings and urban environments, we see three things happening. First is that cities are not directly engaging with financiers. It's always through the Ministry of Finance or the federal government. Now, when, for example, like a context in Pakistan, you have high indebtedness, even if a city is solvable and can actually pay off its debt, it's confronted by a barrier from the Ministry of Finance, who doesn't want to give a letter of no objection for an additional loan because it needs to manage the overall national or federal indebtedness. So there's a curtailed opportunity there. Second is a political one. Very often times what we see around the world is that you have very powerful mayors of cities that are driving change, driving reform, driving investment, driving opportunities that are from a political opposition party. And they are often, again, curtailed by this political dynamics and by the political economy. And third is that city and subnational governments cannot afford to invest in a biodiversity plan, a nature plan, a climate plan, a wastewater management plan, a water access plan, a urbanization plan, so on and so forth. So their technical capacity is curtailed, and very often they are not the recipient of technical assistance or of targeted technical assistance. And that is a balance that we need to change. So in that drive to encourage coherence, there is a very important role for national governments and entities like ours, like the UN, to drive coherence, to enable subnational governments and cities through that technical assistance, but also through a full implementation of the subsidiarity principle. Some things are better addressed at the local level, other things are better addressed at the national level or federal level, and that space really needs to be navigated in a way that essentially enables rapid action. And that we are seeing really some changes happening around the world, in particular because climate solutions are becoming cheap, are becoming accessible, and are delivering beyond climate. Climate solutions are delivering mobility, are delivering access to energy, are delivering access to water. That are some of the key requirements that urban, like mayors and urban leaders, are confronted to because they see their citizens on a daily basis. And lastly, I would like to finish with a request. May I ask all of you to close your eyes? Imagine yourself in a hamster. No, your eyes are still open. You're cheating. Imagine yourself in a hamster wheel and running to get that hamster wheel spinning. But the hamster wheel is getting smaller and smaller, tighter and tighter. This is what's happening with us with climate change. The hamster wheel is closing down on us because we are still in a very strong response and recovery approach. We still consider climate impacts as climate shocks. Now I want you to break out of that hamster wheel. I want you to think out of the box. And I want you to think how we transform realities instead of coping with future climate shocks. They are current, they are real, they are happening now, and sometimes they may need us to break out of that cage. Thank you very much.